Hey everybody, Steve here. Happy Thursday. A little bright out, a little cloudy. It's just the way it is. So, today I was kind of in the mood to do a little Throwback Thursday sort of video. And this particular throwback is for a movie review. And furthermore, I am reviewing in celebration of the 20th anniversary of a movie from my tweenhood. What movie, you may ask? The 2002 animated summer film, Hey Arnold the Movie. Now, the actual anniversary day is June 28th, but my folks and I got a vacation coming up, and the anniversary falls on the prep week, so I figured I'd do it a little earlier. To those unfamiliar, Hey Arnold was a Nickelodeon series that started in the mid-90s and ended in the early 2000s. It was one of the iconic Nicktoons of the time. So, a few years passed, and it was in a time when animated shows, especially kids' cartoons, usually had a film adaptation at some point or another. And more often than not, it was a theatrical release. And in those days, Nick kind of led the charge on that. Now, when the movie first came out, I didn't actually get to see it in theaters. Kind of missed out. When I did eventually get to go to the theater, and ended up seeing Stuart Little 2. And furthermore, seeing a very obscure CG animated short film called The Chub Chubs. But that's another story. Anyway, so, Hey Arnold, the title character of which is recognized for his football-shaped head, gets a theatrical debut 20 years ago. However, the movie was originally supposed to be a TV movie, and it was originally titled Arnold Saves the Neighborhood. I actually even remember, when I used to have Nick Magazine, that they even announced it and advertised it as such. But the higher-ups at Nick said they got to do it as a theatrical film, partly because of the success of the first two Rugrats movies at the time. So, the plot of the movie is basically where Arnold is trying to save his neighborhood from being demolished by a corporate industrialist. And the only thing that can save his neighborhood is a historical document that proves that his neighborhood is a national landmark. The document is related to an event during the time of the Revolutionary War known as the Tomato Incident. So, Arnold and his best friend Gerald go about trying to find the document, which has them going every which way and getting into some spy hijinks too. The main cast from the series is making up most of the voice lineup in the movie. But you also have the addition of 3 character actors who are the movie exclusive characters in the film. Now, to any younger viewers out there, you might not know these particular actors, but they're all big character actors who, up until now, have had historically well-sized resumes. So, if you don't know the names, ask your parents. Paul Sorvino, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Christopher Lloyd. And each one of their roles has particular screen time throughout the film, which I'll get to in a bit. During Arnold and Gerald's adventure trying to find the document, they get some assistance from a mysterious informant called Deep Voice, parody of Deep Throat, the infamous informant from the Watergate scandal. And as to Deep Voice's identity, well, a mystery to those who are not familiar with the Hey Arnold series, but kind of a bit of a giveaway to those who are acquainted with the series. But I won't give it away because spoilers for those unfamiliar. Now, because the movie was originally intended for TV, there are some technical hiccups. For starters, there is some clunky CG in some parts. And on top of that, some of the animation looks more like it'd be on TV than in the movies, whereas the main characters, specifically Arnold, Gerald, and the third major player of the series, Helga, are all got this shaded lighting, which you would have expected in theatrical kids' movies at that time. So, a few technical hiccups there, and overall the story is interesting, but it probably appeals more to those familiar with the series. Now, as to the guest actors and their roles, each one, like I said, has different screen time. First off, you have Paul Sorvino's character, who's the villain of the film, Shek, the industrialist who's trying to demolish the neighborhood. Kind of a pretty typical corporate villain. Pretty sure there have been better iterances throughout film or TV. There is an interesting motivation he has for demolishing the neighborhood. However, it's kind of given away a bit early. It probably would have been more interesting if it was revealed later. Jennifer Jason Leigh voices a character named Bridget, who is a secret agent slash equipment specialist who provides Arnold and Gerald with the spy gear that they use to try to get the document and fulfill their mission. Medium amount of screen time between the middle of the film and then you're helping Arnold and Gerald out near the end. And lastly, you got Christopher Lloyd voicing the city coroner, and he only has a small part. But it's pretty amusing, and Christopher Lloyd fans will get a laugh out of it. Now, a number of the other characters that show up from the Hey Arnold series, some of them do get some green parts in the film, but the majority of them end up as background. But you still have a lot of the major support players who pop up in certain points of the series, and who are being in the film. And there is a bit of a back and forth between Arnold and Gerald's adventure and what most everyone else is up to. So it at least keeps things interesting and not completely linear. But it's not really a big issue. The jokes are pretty light, and there is some subtlety in a few cases. And there are a couple of reference jokes, both spoken and visual, but they don't beat you over the head with them. But there isn't really any change in the characters. So the way they are pretty much the ones who are from the series are pretty much like they are in the show. Especially Arnold, because he's usually the optimist and trying to help everyone. One major factor that came into the movie was with support character Helga. And one of the biggest selling points of this movie is about how she was going to finally confess her secret, and albeit obsessive, love for Arnold, which was particularly known throughout the series. And that does happen. Can't really call it a spoiler because the advertisements even mention about this confession. Now, while I didn't see the movie while it was in theaters, I did, however, get to read the novelization, so I saw how it all panned out in the end. But near the end of the film, she kind of retracts the confession, which at the time I thought was problematic, but then revisiting the movie again, and how Arnold has kind of a knowing smile after said retraction, I wasn't as bothered by it. The thing is, the movie probably could have been better if they had gone with their original plan. I've checked out a few other reviews for this movie, and a lot of those reviewing said the movie probably would have worked better if it gone with the original plan of being a TV movie, and then in sequel, the Jungle movie being the theatrical release. But the higher-ups make dumb decisions. On a smaller note, making this review has also inspired me to also include a mini Fanart Origins. Because, knowing that this year marked the 20th anniversary of the film, and after stumbling across where somebody acknowledged the one movie exclusive character, Bridget, I decided to make a fan art, and it would be pretty cool. So I made this. You see here is basically a poster for the prospective movie that would serve as Bridget's origin story. Thought it'd be kind of neat. So I mentioned who would be in the voice cast, including original voice actor behind Bridget, Jennifer Jason Leigh. And it would also include not really main characters from the Hey Arnold series, but more of the smaller tier, lesser known support characters that popped up historically through the series to help drive this prequel along. You also got the addition of 2 guest voices for this perspective idea, Keanu Reeves and Zeno Robinson. You got Reeves playing Phonom, who would probably be Bridget's mentor in this prequel. And that's him pictured right here. Phonom is the Irish word for utility. I thought that would be a nice touch. As for the other character, Fuzzy Slippers, historically, this character was the unseen informant who always gave Gerald information at different points in episodes of the series. We don't know what he looks like, but there have been theories. So we thought it'd be kind of cool to actually have this character, but still keep him a mystery and don't reveal his identity. And Zeno Robinson is a big voice actor these days. He'd probably be a good choice to put him in this cast. It'd be pretty awesome. The whole adventure is basically showing where Bridget came from and her first adventure in the spy game, which in this context would be something along the lines of where she's a guild protege and very independent, circa high school senior, college freshman, somewhere around there. And basically she gets into a spy adventure when 2 people that look up to her, who are 2 minor characters from the series, suddenly disappear. And she's going on learning the spy skills and equipment to try to save them. So, in a way, this perspective prequel will be kind of like a kid-friendly version of Taken, but with a female lead. The odds of that happening are pretty slim, but it's still a pretty neat idea. And if Craig Bartlett, the creator of Hey Arnold, is watching this, I think if he's still in the animation game, I think it'd be awesome if he tried to put something together like this. You never know, right? You can find this fan art on my fan art album on my regular Facebook page, Stephen Johnston. Overall, the first Hey Arnold movie was a good idea, but the instant change kind of mucked it up a little. In being a TV movie originally, but then being shifted to theatrical, mucked it up a little bit, but it didn't hurt it. Well, except for maybe the box office numbers. And as an end result, the Jungle movie, which was supposed to follow, we didn't get until it premiered as a TV movie in 2017. We had to wait a whole decade for that. But it is what it is. Perhaps in some alternate reality, they went the original course, and both movies became more of a hit. Now, interestingly, the Jungle movie, its 5th anniversary is in late November, so I might have to consider doing a review for that. Another smaller note, and I'm going to point this out because yesterday was the 10th anniversary of when Gravity Falls premiered. I did notice that the climax of Season 1's finale for Gravity Falls is kind of similar to the climax of Hey Arnold the movie. Why is that, you may ask? Well, because both climaxes involve a chase scene that includes a bus, and the villains in both stories are defeated in the same way. In Hey Arnold the movie's case, Shaq; in Season 1 of Gravity Falls, Gideon. They're defeated in similar ways. Arnold the movie is not what you'd call an Oscar winner, but it is an entertaining romp. And for those new to the Hey Arnold franchise, it definitely gives you a pretty good window into the bygone age of Nickelodeon. So I'd say, give it a try. Well, that's all I got to say about that. You can find me on Facebook, Steven Johnston. I also have my page, Steven Johnston's Books and Other Stuff. My Instagram is Steven R. Johnston. If you look on the description below, I'll also mention the channels of people who also reviewed the Hey Arnold movies so you can look at some other opinions. Till next time.